Hey guys, Tyler here. I am in the church where we shot Circus and Churches. Okay, so this song was never really intended to be released. It was supposed to just be a venting process and then move forward. And then a few days later, I met with a friend. I shared with her what I was doing with this song, and this was her story. Because of that, I ended up finishing the song, even though there's a few explicit pieces of content. Or I don't even know how you would say that. Explicit words. Sorry, Mom. Sorry, Dad. But it was cool to have people around me to be able to say, hey, I think this needs to be heard. And so I want to just take a minute and bring Kayla on to share a little bit of her story. This is Kayla. Here we go. We're going to have a conversation. Here we go. This is cool. Okay, Kayla. So thank you, first and foremost. When was the moment when you realized something is off, something's not right?
I moved to Nashville with some friends, and I was like, I need something different. I need to do something different with my life. And I applied for the world race, and after my interview, they were like, hey, we're not going to let you go. And I was like, why? This doesn't make sense. Yeah. I'm okay.
Right, I'm good.
I'm so good.
Yeah.
But I literally could not remember anything from before I was 7 years old. Like nothing. No memory of anything. And I told them that because they asked. And they were like, no, we don't want you to go out on the field and something get triggered and you not know how to handle it. We think you should go to counseling.
So when you heard that...
It pissed me off.
I was going to say.
I was mad.
Because before that, counseling to you meant...
If I had to go to counseling, like it meant that I failed at life. It was also scary for me because I knew that counseling would probably bring up things that I didn't want to look at.
How did looking at it or bringing light to the issue in which you've hidden for so long, how did revealing that make a difference?
It literally changed my life. Like,
Tell us
completely changed my life. I had a counselor that was just incredible. So she walked me through this like crazy process of dealing with some things right before it kind of came up. When I say it, I mean like remembering abuse that had happened that wasn't just verbal, it wasn't just emotional, it wasn't just spiritual abuse, it was like straight up hardcore sexual abuse. I remembered during a session the feeling of being touched by this guy who was the worship pastor. Wow. Who, sweet Lord. Okay. I was not expecting this at all. Okay. We're good. He was the worship pastor of my grandfather's church. I remember being about 4 or 5 years old, literally feeling all of that all over again. So it was like a 4-year-old trapped in a 29-year-old body. And it freaked me out. And that was the middle of February. And a week later, I went to this thing called the Encounter Training.
Explain Encounter Training real quick, just a quick brief summary.
It's like a year's worth of counseling shoved into 4 days with about 30-something other people. They kind of expose a lot of stuff. It's a safe space to actually work through.
So I suggest everybody go do something like this.
I thought it was a joke, honestly. Like, Alyssa told me that it changed her life, but I was like, yeah, no. I'm not going to do one of those, like, let's go and hang out for 4 days with, a bunch of other people and then, like, leave on a high and then crash kind of thing. Like, she called me one day and she was like, I'm begging you, let yourself, like, experience this. So I did, and I went all in. I was like, I went all into counseling. I'm going to go all into this. I don't care if it makes me look crazy. And there was one night that we actually sat on the floor. The lights were out, and I just had this moment of, okay, God, like, I can't hold on to this. It's going to kill me. Like, it's going to kill me if I don't let it go. I was just bitter. I was horrible to be around. Like, I had friends, but nobody liked me.
Yeah.
They would say that they would, but that they liked me, but then it was just, I was like, I don't even like myself. I can't stand to be around me.
Wow.
So how could anybody else? Like, I hated me. I went through a process of, like, literally, I wanted to die. I thought about walking out in front of a car. I thought about jumping out of my window in my apartment. Like, there were times that I would sit in my closet and shut the door and just sit in the corner, like in fetal position, just praying that I wouldn't get up. Yeah, it was just a lot. It was a lot. And so that moment on the floor when I was I literally came to the end of myself. And I was like, I just let go. I just let it go. And that moment, literally something unlocked in my heart. Like, I could feel it. And I got up and the lights came on and they started playing dance music. And I literally just danced around, just dancing on disappointment, dancing on my past, dancing on everything on all that I was, and realizing that I wasn't actually that girl anymore, that I didn't have to be that girl anymore. I didn't have to hold on to the crap anymore. And so freedom for me was like, it was really, really epic. Like, it was incredible. I can't quite put into words what that felt like, except like you hear that saying, like, you don't know until you know. You don't know freedom until you actually know freedom. Like, I thought that I was free because of the way that I lived my life. Like, I did what I wanted, when I wanted, with who I wanted, how I wanted, all the things. And so that to me looked like freedom, when in reality it was actually my prison. Like, it was my cage. It was my, like, that was how I kind of kept myself protected, was putting on this, like, I can do anything. And then that moment happened and I was like, holy shit. Like, I thought that I knew what freedom was, and I hadn't walked it out yet, but that moment of, like, actual clarity of, like, that was never who I was intended to be. And
so
yeah.
to get to that point, it took you staring basically the demon, the dark places, exposing that, owning it, even though it wasn't necessarily your fault,
right?
But owning it as your own story.
It hurts to look at your crap. It hurts to look at pain. It hurts to look at the things that have been done to you and realize that it wasn't your fault. When I was 4 and 5 years old, being molested and raped and talked down to, I mean, you say it in the song, like, he looks at me, he whispers that, don't say anything, it's our little secret, basically. Like, I remember his voice saying that to me when I was like really little. But it took looking at that stuff and realizing that it wasn't my fault. I did nothing wrong. I was a child.
We have guests.
We do have guests.
Because it was in the church, I feel like it's almost, it puts a stigma on who God is.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so my question to you is, how did you deal with that, the separation between associating this abuse with the church and then separating them out? Because you love God. And I don't understand, if you're traumatized like that in the church, how you can be who you are.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy to me. So tell us about that. Like, wow. Like, that's crazy to me.
It's kind of my favorite.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, for a long time I was really, 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 really mad at the church. And I think a lot of people, not just me, had experiences where their family, their fathers, their grandfathers, whoever, are actual pastors of the church, and then they're hurt in church. And so it's like, not only is it the church, but it's their family. So then you have, like, both dynamics, like, kind of clashing almost. And it's like, well, if my family is this and my church is this, why would I want to have anything to do with either? This is supposed to be the body of Christ. Why in hell would I have anything to do with Christ? F you.
Yeah.
Put nicely.
That was actually put very nicely.
Put nicely. So you hear people all the time say, well, it was because of God, or my life changed because of God. Like, it's actually true. Like, it's truth. Like, we in of ourselves can do nothing. I couldn't just make myself better.
Did you try?
Oh, absolutely.
What did you do to try to make yourself feel better?
Drugs, alcohol, sex.
Everything.
All of it. Got into relationships I shouldn't have gotten into.
And it didn't work?
It didn't work.
Did it work for a season?
No.
It didn't?
No. I thought that it did.
You thought that it did?
I thought that it did at the time.
So in the moment, it did it numb things for you?
Yeah.
I'm of the school of thought of you have to deal with your wounds before you can actually move on.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, is that true for you?
No, it is. That was the thing. Like, I just kept in this cycle of like crashing and burning. I'd be okay for a little bit, but the reality of it is that everything that I had been like shoving down when I was like a teenager, specifically, things that I had forgotten when I was little, kind of started coming up to the surface, and I didn't know how to handle it. So it would like come up a little bit, I'd blow up, and then shove it all back down. And it would come up a little bit, and I'd blow up, and then shove it back down.
Why didn't you want to look at it?
It scared me.
What about it scared you?
I did not know who I was. Truly.
Explain that.
I didn't know. I was so consumed with being who everyone else wanted me to be so that I would be loved. Growing my whole life up to this point, it was if I can just make them love me, then the world is okay.
And you've won.
I've won. That's literally what I live for. And so it was like, if I can figure out, and I didn't do it on purpose. It wasn't like I'm going to be manipulative, I'm going to do this. It was like, I just wanted somebody to love me. I needed to feel loved. And so I would figure out what you wanted and what you needed, and then I would be that. And I was fine. But when it like push came to shove and I was by myself, I was depressed as hell. I couldn't figure out who I was, and anything that I grasped at, it literally just made me feel even more out of control. And so I'd start drinking again, or started, smoking weed again, or I would go and have sex with somebody, or something to just numb it out. And when it came to sex, if I could get you in that place, then I was in control.
And you've won.
And I've won yet again. But when that was over, it's like crash and burn.
There are a lot of people watching this, and especially who stayed through to the end, might be looking for, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like, help me, like point me somewhere. And like I said, we're not counselors.
Of course.
But my question to you would be, what do you suggest for someone who's in that situation?
For me, it was getting to a place of understanding that I was worth fighting for. I was enough. And we all are. Like, literally, you're enough. You're breathing. Your heart's pounding. Bailey says all the time, put your hand on your heart. You feel that? It's purpose. Like, if you're breathing, there's a reason that you are still walking this earth. Like, you're not here for no reason. And I know that might sound super cliche and like, well, she's just saying that. You don't know my story. You don't know what I've been through. Like, I don't know what you've been through. I know what I've been through. I know what my story is. And I know that for me, it was literally just getting to this place of sitting down and saying, God, I'm done. Like, not done with life. I'm done holding on to all the shit. I'm done holding on to the hurt and the anger and the bitterness. It doesn't mean that the things that were done to me are justified. It doesn't mean that it was okay. It means that I don't have to hold on to it anymore. Like, he didn't die for no reason. He didn't bleed out for no reason. He wasn't whipped and his flesh ripped out off of him for no reason. He doesn't want relationship with us for no reason. Understanding the weight of his heart for us, and knowing that, like, we don't have to live in that. Like, I don't have to live as a victim anymore. Getting to a place of understanding that counseling is not a bad thing. It's actually, it's beautiful. There's this stigma stuck on counseling that says that you're weak, says that you can't handle it yourself.
I almost equate it to education of, like, we go to school to learn to read and write, but we don't go to school to deal with our own emotions. Yeah. So we're left flying like blind when it comes to, like, all this stuff that we've dealt with in the past. So the idea that counseling is not a bad thing.
I encourage you to go find somebody to help you. I used to hear people all the time like, go find help, go find help, go find help. And until I actually found help, I didn't understand what that meant.
And isn't it the hardest thing to ask for? Like,
Absolutely.
Like, the hardest thing.
Absolutely. Because I can do it on my own. I fought my entire life to survive.
And how much better is it to do life with a person you trust and or you feel like you're known by?
It'll literally change everything. So I went to counseling to prove that I didn't need counseling. And then I ended up in counseling for a long time. So I did. I ended up.
Loved it, right?
I craved it.
Yeah.
Because somebody was actually not just listening to me, but hearing me.
And here you are in the church.
I am in the church.
In the church where we shot the video.
Yeah, and I'm not angry.
You're not angry.
Church. I'm not angry at the church. I realize that the church and the people are two very different things.
And you've forgiven.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Which is counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful. Which inspired an ending to the video.
Right.
Here at this church.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
It's beautiful. It's crazy.
Hashtag living the light.
Living the light.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Excited to share this. So, ladies and gentlemen, Kayla, go check her out. Go check her out on the gram and such. Ask her questions if you have any questions. Ask them in the comments.
Yeah.
Okay. Enjoy the video, you guys.
An hour.
Are you kidding me? I gotta edit this tonight.
Okay, go.
It's 48 minutes.
Oh, Lord.
It's okay.
Hey, guys. So, yeah, Kayla, if you want to find out more... Okay, so... Hey, words. So, that was... Thank you for sharing. We're back here. Guys, Kayla, she's a wonderful human being. And if you need to ask any questions, it's cool to hit you on Instagram.
Yeah.
So we'll put her link down in the description below.
Yeah.
Send her a message. And if you guys have any questions or you want to have a conversation in the comments below, we'll be looking at those and responding.
Yeah.
And just make sure this place is safe for people. So thank you.
Thank you.
And hashtag living the light, am I right? Hashtag am I right?
You're right.